everyone. Thank you for tuning in. This is Sneha Kumari, Lean Six Sigma consultant in construction. I am delighted to bring the second episode here with my second guest, which who I'll be introducing soon in association with Offsite Dirt. Thank you, Offsite Dirt and Audrey, for this amazing platform where I get to collaborate with you and bring some of the amazing minds in construction to the forefront and have our audience listen and learn from the show. I hope you all tune into my first show, my first guest, my first show with Erin. She was amazing. And here today, I'm gonna introduce you to Bryan, who I've had a chance and pleasure to work with in the past I think 3 4 months. So it's been great working with Bryan, and I'll let him do all the talking. But before that, I'll quickly do a short introduction. Bryan grew up in Midwest, has a degree in construction management, and he currently lives in Phoenix and also has desire to move to SoCal, where I am at some point. Uh, and has tons and tons of experience in managing construction projects, renovations, and just the whole concept of building custom homes. And one of the point that I was super intrigued with, which you can also find on Bryan's company's website, is his focus is in listening, valuing the desire of clients. And why that resonated with me so much, because as you all know, I am all about lean and Six Sigma. And all of this starts with your customers, and then you work backwards and make sure that you're listening and being transparent, and then understanding the problem to make sure that you handle it well throughout the process and reduce waste and improve efficiencies. So here I am. Let me introduce you to Bryan Payne, my second guest at this Leanify Construction show. Bryan, the stage is yours. Please give us a quick introduction of you so our guests learn to know about you, and then we'll get into some other questions.
Yeah, absolutely. Bryan Payne. My company is called Many Mansions, not tiny mansions, but many, like several. We build custom homes all throughout kind of the West Valley of Phoenix, but definitely started flipping homes, flipping land, building spec houses, and now doing full customs. So, been a part of a lot of different industries actually. So, where from production to manufacturing to industrial construction to now mostly residential, but been fun in each journey and obviously learned a lot in each little sector. So yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, I mean, especially you talked about different construction sectors. So, there's, I'm sure that during this course of our chat, you will probably share some nuggets on how they are different yet similar, challenges. So I'm super, super, super keen to learn more. But let's start with the first question, which I usually ask all my guests, which is, tell me about your journey. Did you just, happen to fall into construction, or was this a forever desire and just you continued the legacy? Just tell us more about it.
Yeah, actually my first desire was to and still is my goal one day is to actually flip hotels and resorts to remodel different kind of high-end resorts, mostly coastal stuff. And so that still is a goal of mine. And that's actually why I went into construction management originally and also got international business degree. But construction has kind of taken me from kind of just the cubicle office, right out of college, just managing, a lot of industrial things for, ethanol plant construction and things like that. But that wasn't really fun in the cubicle. So I think eventually that's what led me to take on another job that I was a project manager for doing a lot of manufacturing type businesses and warehouses. And then when that company, we built that up to a multi-million dollar business. And when we sold that, I started my own business doing house flips and custom homes. And so that, really got you in the nitty gritty and you learned so much hands on, but every day is different. So you're in the office, you're in the field, you're meeting tons of people, and that was more fun for sure. So I like that.
Awesome. And then what actually made you like, because you were like working, like what was that? I would say that moment that you decided that, okay, now you know what, I got to do something of my own. This is what I enjoy. Like what was that aha moment, or
I guess I just realized I'm already putting in like 80 hours a week for somebody else. And
might
so
as well do
I'm
it for
like,
yourself.
and I'm making them millions of dollars. And it's like, actually, why not just, yeah, use all these skills and translate it into more of an entrepreneurial side of things. So it's worked out. So,
Awesome.
yeah,
Awesome. That's great. That's always great to know, especially, it's this whole journey of being an entrepreneur is very it's I would say it's underrated. I guess the wins are great, but it's a long game, right? You have
yeah,
to stick
it
with
is.
it. It's not, nobody that I know of
Yeah,
famous has gotten overnight success. It's
no,
I read this somewhere that it might look like an overnight success, but there were many nights that
yeah,
went into making that an overnight success.
yes. And so many learning processes
And
along the way, and realizing how much you don't know as well. So, yeah,
yeah, absolutely. So it's amazing. Like, of course, like you start working for someone, you learn from that experience, and then you realize whether you want to continue on that journey and do something of your own. So I'm so glad you decided to do something of
yeah,
my own and we got to work together.
right,
That's
absolutely.
amazing. The next question I have for you is, because you've worked with, in so many different industries, tell me about that one unique project that you think, like looking back, gave you tons of learnings that our audience can also learn from, in from your experience, just that one project that had nuggets packed into it.
Um, I think probably the one that stands out the most was it was a historic remodel in downtown Phoenix. We basically took a really small historic home, and it was actually the second house flip I ever did. And so we did. It was over a $300,000 remodel and addition on it, and we took this old, super old home and made it extremely modern and super hip for kind of that Phoenix downtown vibe. And to this day, like 7, 8 years later, like I used to get more compliments on that home than anything else. But that house had some of the most headaches and the most challenges like that we went through, and it was just from budget issues, permitting issues, just different things to where you obviously could learn those things from somebody else, and that's super valuable. But when you're in it and you have that experience, it just changes how you do business. And so that's definitely the one that stands out to me the most. And obviously, it's the biggest showpiece I use still to this day. But it was a challenge. So
Yeah. No, I'm sure like some of the, toughest and biggest accomplishments comes from the most pain that you have put into. So tell us more about, I don't know, budgetary challenges, project management
yeah.
challenges, like what comes to mind?
Yeah, most of the time it is from obviously the budget and timeline are really the two biggest things, and they're generally determined by the clients. So whatever industry you're in, whatever client you have, you start off with one budget and one timeline, and that is not what it looks like at the end of the project. So it's things change often, but especially with COVID and different challenges with labor, material supply, everything over the last several years, you really have to learn to pivot, which is key in how not only how you do things, but where you source from, who you talk to, your network, how you vet people you work with, and so it's staying flexible is really key when it comes to budget and timeline, and being able to explain that to the customer too, to tell them why, and eventually they understand. Sometimes they don't, but in the end, you can still give them a beautiful project. So
Yeah, no, absolutely. And what tell me more about, like, how did you, like, how in times of, in terms of getting the team on board and the customer on board, what, like looking back today, what do you think would have been done better, and what you did actually, what did you do in
yeah,
that time, and what
yeah,
could have been done better?
yeah. I learned like right from the beginning, transparency is key. Sometimes we want to fix something really quick. Um, and then present something positive to the client or the customer. And it's like oftentimes like that quick turns into a lot of time, and then you just look bad in the client's eyes versus saying, you know what, I'm just going to be transparent from the beginning and say, hey, this is what happened. um, Maybe my fault or not, but either way you're transparent with them and say, we're going to work through this way, we'll let you know the progress, and keep them completely informed of the status, and that goes a long way in keeping clients happy.
Oh wow. I mean, you what you just shared is amazing, and especially when it comes to, the lean concepts. I
Yeah,
talk about it a lot. Like, do not be afraid to share the truth. I think
yeah,
that's where we fail, right? And
yeah,
I think that has to start with leaders. Like a lot
yeah,
of times we have, teammates participating in, events or, probably audits, and they're not transparent because they are scared if they're being rated on the current
yeah.
state versus knowing that, hey, we are here to find your pain and resolve it for you,
Yep.
right?
Yeah, and
Because
to you're people. You're both people.
yes,
Like
yes, exactly. Exactly.
yeah,
So I think I literally was talking about it today. Like, one of the nuggets of lean is actually, do not be afraid. Be
yeah,
transparent. The more transparent you are, the more problems uncover. Some of which you will be able to show, like quick wins, short-term wins. Some of them go in the parking lot, long-term wins, but they need to keep coming,
mhm,
and everyone should feel, I think, empowered to be
yeah,
transparent. I think we need
yep.
to be open about it. Leadership needs to be open about it.
Especially in all these type of industries, because it's just like things happen, and
Always.
it's better to just work at it together, like side by side, versus at each other, because then it's makes for a much more peaceful project.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, absolutely. I think transparency, making sure that, one thing that you highlighted, like especially during COVID, we saw a lot of things fall down, right? Especially in terms
yeah,
of supply chain, procurement, logistics. So nothing is perfect, as you said, in this world. The only thing you can do is make sure that the communication lines are open,
yeah,
always, with your
yeah,
customer, with your stakeholders, with, everyone. And then at least, even there will always be issues, but people are aware of it and people know what's the game plan, what's
yeah,
short-term plan, what's long-term plan, what are you doing to
yeah.
mitigate it. I think that's the best you can do. I haven't seen a single big large scale project go through exactly what the plan was. That has never
Me
happened.
neither. Yeah,
So go in with that expectations, make sure that you're transparent, and everyone is aware of what the status is.
yeah,
All right. So now that you spoke about, your challenges, especially in project management and
yeah.
budgeting, tell me more about, what do you see, like, I'm sure you would have used a lot of softwares, right?
Mhm.
While in this journey, and a lot of Excel. Sorry,
Yeah,
Excel is also a software, but yes.
yeah. Well, but
So
it's
it's
its own
different.
thing.
It's manual, right? It takes time, and
It
as you grow your company, it can be a pain. So tell me more about how, in your eyes, how can technology really transform this industry?
Yeah, I honestly just from a tracking standpoint, like tracking every area, whether it's budget, timeline, material, vendors, subcontractors, completion dates, plans. It's just tracking. It's all about tracking, and tracking allows you not only to be more efficient, but you also have a history then that you can go back on as well. So, I what I love about all the technology and advancements and like software, you're helping us with. It's like you're able to track from start to finish, but you also in that is the project management built in. So it's like you have all these areas of management, and there's so many fine details that if you have systems and software that's just built in as reminders, like you don't have those hiccups and those problems nearly as often. And then when you do, you make sure you go back and change something so that the next project you have, you don't forget it. And it's like, but our human brains don't remember those pitfalls or how they happen sometimes. But software is, it's super efficient and reminds us to not drop the ball. So
Yeah.
I
I mean,
love that.
I mean,
usable in the field too, which I love.
absolutely. I mean, imagine the pain that you might be going through. Like, you've been sharing with us that you work on the weekends. Like, you literally are spending hours and hours altogether on the weekends just scrambling to get things together. Okay, I'm working on
Yeah.
6 projects. Where are they at? What's my budget looking like? What am I supposed to get paid for? What am I supposed to pay people for?
Yeah.
Like all of that, like spending your weekends. I'm sure using the right kind of software that gives you the visibility that keeps you on time, like a co-pilot. You wish you
Yeah.
have a co-pilot that
Right.
actually take care of things that's not productive for you, so you can focus on growing your business, and the
Yep.
co-pilot can focus on taking care of tactical stuff and giving
Right.
you visibility.
And you don't have to pay for an extra salary for almost like doubling yourself. It's
Oh,
like
yes,
you
you're right.
still have all those processes done, but it's that cost savings, time savings, and just you look good in the client's eyes then,
Yeah,
versus
the
yeah,
quality.
exactly,
Absolutely.
quality for sure.
Absolutely. While you're saving time and cost, the use of right technology and, as you said, visibility. Again,
Yeah.
like, you cannot have a software come in and fix a
Yeah.
problem. What a software will tell you, actually, in some cases, it can. For example,
Yeah. I
if
was gonna
if,
say.
if a schedule is there that you need to procure your timber or whatever, your drywall installation needs to happen at X. If all of these, if it's keeping you ahead of time, you probably are lesser at risk of missing those dates
Oh,
versus you sitting on a Saturday and figuring out, okay, what my week's. Oh my God, I was supposed to do that
yeah.
last week.
Well, and especially now because like, trusses, for example, used to take, 3 weeks, to order and get to site, but then after COVID and everything, it was like 8 weeks. But like that's one item. But you have thousands of items on a job, and you don't know, like in the last 2 years, lead times are all over the place for
Wow.
every single one of those things. So like if the new lead times and the current lead times are built into software, then it's just reminding you when to do it, and you don't have to stay on top of every single item. So that's huge.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, like as you said, cost, like money. Okay, who
Mm-hmm.
am I? Like even your clients would need the information of how much spend has happened, how many draws have you made, and also you want to know, make sure that you are providing the right service in terms of paying your subcontractors, right?
Yeah,
And
transparency. Yeah.
this whole ecosystem needs to be connected together, as you said,
Mm-hmm.
bring transparency, so they all are speaking the same language, they're all on
Yeah.
the same
Right.
page. And when you said that this project is going to get done in the next 3 weeks, they all know it's going to get done in the next 3 weeks, or it's going to be delayed by a week, whatever. Like
Right.
everyone knows
Something happened, but
what's
everybody
going on.
knows. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we know why. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you bring a great point about supply chain, the procurement challenges, especially during and after COVID, that we are still like dealing with. I know it's getting better for some of
Yeah.
the stuff, but it keeps coming.
It's,
It's been
it's
like
yeah.
been thrown at us constantly since.
Yeah.
Um, and and how about, like, I mean, of course, we talk about technology. There's so much going on right now. AI is a great space to be in. There's a lot happening in that space. But tell me more about, about lean principles. What's your experience have been in your experience? Have you worked with, the whole lean culture? How do you see that taking this industry forward in construction?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I still don't know what I don't know. And obviously, there's so many ways I could implement it more. And so I think that's why the learning curve, I'm still on that. But as far as all the lean systems, I think from eliminating waste, eliminating, wasted labor hours, materials, things like that, like it just increases profitability and affects the whole project. And so I think, when you're able to, you know, implement all the lean kind of mentality into a business, like all of a sudden it's simple. You kind of lose all the extras and you just focus on what you need to accomplish the project. And so I think that's, for me, it's kind of peaceful. So some people think lean is stressful and you have to implement on, but it's like honestly, I think the more you implement a straightforward strategy, you're gonna have a way smoother business. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of people think lean is stressful. I think it's all about managing change, right? Not
Yeah,
everyone is on board of the change that lean
yeah,
brings in, but it's a mindset, and it takes time. It takes time
it does.
to sink in, and
Yeah,
people to understand like why are we even doing this? Why do we need it?
because there's so much behind the scenes, and it's not obvious how it can help it all the time. But it's not something your clients really see, but they see the effect of it, which is the benefit.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Have you ever like implemented lean in your past experience, and how was that?
What comes to mind is more the manufacturing side,
Yep.
from when we did a full kind of implementation of it, and so everything from you know picking out the exact tools you need to make repairs to the exact packaging or the exact printers or machines, everything in as straight line as possible, all within reach of whatever people are right there that are
5Sing, yeah,
using it.
the 5.
5Sing, exactly, like making sure everybody's supplied what they need. All of a sudden, your downtime, you know, is gone, and your production doubles, just
Oh,
because you have what you need right there, and everybody's like not running around everywhere trying to find what they need, and they're on their own. But it's like all of a sudden it's like this team effort,
yep.
and everybody's on the same page. So I'm a huge fan, from that standpoint.
I am not like I used to be a huge fan of lean personally also. But ever since my boys came into my life, things have been things have been hard to be 5S all the time. Are you
Yeah,
a stickler
I
for
can
5S
relate.
at home too?
Yeah, yeah, we've done some of that.
Oh my God, it's hard for me to keep up, but trust me, like, for all our listeners out there, 5S is a very powerful fundamental concepts of lean that can bring you
Yeah,
some very quick wins. I
I
can
agree.
talk about quality, your workspace is looking awesome. Talk about
Yeah,
cost, yes, because you're saving time in
yeah.
looking out tools all around the space, right?
Even
Um,
just if you're, paying your bills or sending letters or something, if you got like one spot where all the letters, the stamps, your pins, like everything's right there, like you can
Amazing.
just do it real quick and then go play with the kids, like free time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think 5S is a very powerful tool. Like people don't get the power of it enough and often try to skip that exercise and getting into like some complex stuff. I think the value, the benefits you can get by a simple
Hmm.
5S event is great at your floor,
And
wherever
then
you're
maintain it.
offsite. Yeah. And
Yeah,
maintain, of course.
maintain 5S, and it'll keep things running.
Sustaining is the core of any change
Exactly.
that you're implementing.
Yeah,
Awesome. Like, I'm great to hear. I was amazing hearing more about 5S from you, in your
yeah,
experience. Well, I'm trying to keep this show short, but before we
yeah.
let you go, I would like to see if you have a couple takeaways that you would like to share with our audience, from your experience that will be valuable for them.
Yeah. Um, the first one probably is postmortems. Um, Anytime you actually finish something,
Mm-hmm.
um, go back through and actually write down what went well and what didn't.
Mm-hmm.
What you learn and implement, like actually make a change either in software or somehow on your calendar, just to make sure that the negative things are taken care of for the next projects, because you just like it's such a sense of accomplishment once you finally have done that post-mortem and implemented the things, like you'll want to do it after every project.
So
um, uh, Another takeaway probably is clear expectations from the beginning. This probably came out of one of my postmortems actually, is make sure clients, subs, everybody has clear expectations at the beginning of projects, so that way there's no miscommunication or um, you know arguing or anything that comes up if they're not on the same page. It just helps
I
get them
love.
on the same page.
Yeah, setting the expectations, timelines, and I think the buffer for risks or
Yeah,
failures. I think setting that expectations is so important. And I love
yeah,
what you said, retrospective. People
Yeah.
underestimate the value of reflections and retrospective exercise. You can do it for any event. It doesn't have to be work. If you did a
Yep.
personal project, make sure you look back, see what went well, what did not. So you are not repeating the same mistake. I think, again, as the famous saying goes, committing a mistake is not a problem. Repeating is when we know
Yeah.
we didn't learn much from it.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
Love those takeaways, Bryan. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for your time. Thank you for coming
Yeah.
to the show
Thank
and
you.
spending like your valuable 30 minutes. I know you're super busy with your projects. I
It's
hope
okay.
my listeners enjoy this show, learn from Bryan's experiences, and I look forward to seeing you on my next show soon.
Yeah.
And we'll talk more about lean and technology. Take care, everyone. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.